Hi, everyone. Tom was here, and it's officially draft week, which means we are coming to the end of our mock drafts, and man, did this sneak up on me. I hardly got any mock drafts in, and now we're already here in draft week, so figure we would do a mock draft of all 32 teams in the league, first round selections, no trades or anything. And I do feel some trades are probably going to occur because it's natural for them to do so. But kind of a rough idea of what I expect the first round to go, kind of what my predictions is if everybody stood pat, which is not unprecedented. It has happened before. But big rumor time. A lot of rumors, a lot of things flying around this week. I've seen all types of different rumors of how things could go down in this draft. So because we're going through all 32 teams, we're just going to get into it. So let's get into my 2025 NFL mock draft. All 32 teams, round 1 edition on Tom Was Here.
Hi there, Mark Summers here. You're watching Tom Is Here. And ready? On your mark, get set, go!
Like they've been for months, Tennessee is on the clock. And I see no reason, no anything. I love controversy. It'd be great if they did something wild. But you know what? I don't see any way they don't take Cam Ward here. It just seems likely. That that's probably going to happen. So I'm going to take Cam Ward here. And, I think that's just what's happening. I don't see. It'd be fun. It'd be fun if they did something crazy, like took Hunter or Carter or Jackson Dart for fun. That would be real fun. With two, you got Travis Hunter here. You got Abdul Carter here. I could see them taking Carter to pair up with Myles Garrett. But let's just say they take Travis Hunter here. It's a shame. I like the kid. He's going to Cleveland, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they're the type of team that would let him play both ways. He said something about wanting to play both ways. Certain teams probably wouldn't allow it. I think Cleveland would, and that's why I give him the edge here. So Travis Hunter to Cleveland. I don't see them taking a quarterback. If you did, why sign Flacco and Pickett and restructure Watson if you were taking a quarterback? That would be silly. Giants on the clock. Their top need is edge. And they signed Russell Wilson. They signed Jameis Winston. They still have Tommy DeVito, which is Tommy DeVito's a fine third. He wouldn't. I wouldn't want him as a backup, but he's a fine third. So I think Abdul Carter is pretty easy here, and so far we're kind of rolling down the line of straightforward. Nobody's kind of going out of place here. So 4, look at this, New England. Look at their top need, a tackle. Will Campbell's here, and Will Campbell's the pick. I don't see any reason why they would step out of line. Everybody so far, the draft is kind of falling based on their various needs of what they want, what they're looking to have done. Same thing here with Jacksonville. Jacksonville's top need is D-line, and oh look, Mason Graham's D-line. So that is the case. I think the top 5 picks fall into place based on their ranking, at least based on the ranking on Mock Draft Database Simulator here. The GM's kid, I think it's the GM's kid of the Raiders, said that if they don't take Genty at 6, he's going to find a new family. I think it's a younger kid too. But sure enough, oh look, the Raiders' top need is running back. 6, here's Genty here. I think this is falling straight along the lines. Now we're going to get a little wild card because I don't believe the Jets will be taking a quarterback in this draft. I think they did sign Justin Fields with the idea that they're going to give him, the keys to the castle here. Something the Steelers probably should have done, at least for one season, to try it out. But this could go 2 different ways here. Because their top need is tackle, and there's a top tackle on the board, but Tyler Warren at Penn State, give him a big target to throw to, a safety net. He's pretty darn good too. Personally, I think they'll go with the protection angle, and they'll take Membu from Missouri here. But man, that's tempting. That is very, very, very tempting. 8, Carolina. Look at that. They need an edge. And sure enough, one of the top 2 players on the board, or top few players on the board, is one in Jalen Walker. And man, if you're drafting based on needs, this is the draft for you because, man, everything's falling into place, isn't it? I think Jalen Walker is the pick here. And they feel pretty good about it. I think they're happy with where this falls at 8 for them. They could go wide receiver. They certainly could go wide receiver, I think. They could go a few different ways here. Corner, there's some nice corners up there too. This is one where I think they would think about it a little bit, but I think they will take Walker the edge. Carolina's defense was not great last year, and this will certainly help that. Okay. This is where it gets interesting. Because what we've heard of the Derek Carr situation is that he may not play this whole year. And unless they're giving the keys to Spencer Rattler with, who's backing him up? I don't even know. I can't even remember who's backing him up this time around. So you have a Shedeur here. But you know what? They're not going to take Shedeur. They're going to take the one that's actively flying off draft boards in our first draft day surprise. They are going to take Jackson Dart off the board over Shedeur. And Shedeur, the free fall has begun on Shedeur. There's certainly smoke to say that the free fall is going to begin with them. And man, who knows? Who knows? If that's the case or not. But Shedeur has been officially passed for Jackson Dart. There'll be a lot of oohs and ahs if Jackson Dart makes his way into the top 10 and Shedeur does not. But that is certainly something that could happen. Now, you got Chicago. Their top needs a running back. There's really no running backs there. They're not going to reach for one. They could potentially trade down. There's an interest in an edge. Edge is one of their top needs as well. Mikael Williams is there. They could certainly go, a scenario where you go offensive line. You could go offensive line potentially to protect him more. You could go Tyler Warren if you really wanted to. Get him another big target to throw the ball to. With them, man, they could go a lot of different places here. Wide receiver's still a need. I don't think Keenan Allen's there anymore. So, you got Rome, you got... Not even sure who else they got, to be honest with you, beyond that. So they could go McMillan here and give Caleb a weapon. They could certainly go O-line to assist. They could go corner. What I'm going to say, just for funsies, is their second need is an edge, and Mikael Williams is here, the edge out of Georgia, and, there's a top need on their board, and I think they're going to make that selection and be happy with it. Now, maybe they could trade down a few spots if somebody really needy to come in there and go and get that. They certainly will. I think that is something that they'd be open to, moving down a few spots and still getting their guy, especially because, there's quite a few edges in this draft that could certainly help them. Same with the 49ers. 49ers needs are tackle and edge. There's a lot of money tied up in 49er land. They did trade Debo, but man, they are cash strapped. Is Brock Purdy going to get his big contract? I think so personally, especially with them. I don't see a scenario where they trade him. I saw scenarios where they would trade him to the Steelers or something like that because they didn't want to pay him. Yeah, your receivers in need. Receiver would be interesting. But personally, I think they go to protect their line here. And they take what is the top tackle available in Kelvin Banks. I think everybody's drafting based on need this time around. Here you got Dallas. Dallas wouldn't have minded if Genty fell down there. Their top need is a receiver. And sure enough, we got McMillan sitting there. And I wouldn't be shocked if they did such a thing. They certainly need some help that wise, but you know what? Tight end is a need as well. Really, it's Warren or McMillan here, and I'm gonna say they bypass their need for wide receiver. They think they get wide receiver later, and they're gonna take Tyler Warren here, and they're gonna be thrilled with it. They're gonna be happy with that because the guys, they need a tight. Since Jason Warren has been gone, they've had some okay people, but not anybody that's gonna take the lid off the defense like a Warren would. Well, Miami Dolphins. There's been some smoke about potentially trading Tyreek Hill. I don't think that's necessarily something that can happen, even though wide receiver could be a need for them. Tackle's their top need. There's no one really here that's kind of giving me those vibes. We got corners up there as far as needs go. There's some corners sitting there. Edge is a little bit lower of a need. You got linebackers. You got some receivers. Did they take potentially a best available if they had to stand pat? If their line people's not there, they could potentially trade back. We're not doing that in this one. There's not really any. So this is the first one where their needs are not really there. We're going to say they're going to go a little wild card and go McMillan, wide receiver, at 13. They probably don't expect him to necessarily be here, but since it's one of their top 4 needs and the rest of the needs really aren't there, McMillan's going to be the pick here. Okay, that is Indianapolis at 14. Their top need is a tight end. And they got Loveland here. They were hoping maybe Warren fell down here. Now there is an edge as well. That's their second need. They could go either one, to be honest with you. They really could go either one. But let's just say for funsies, they go Colston Loveland. I've actually seen draft where he went over Warren. That would be a surprise to me. But, they're trying to help whoever is going to take the job, whether it be Daniel Jones or Richardson. They're going to help them with a little safety blanket over the middle here. And the free fall for Shedeur continues because none of these teams coming up really need a quarterback. So you got Atlanta at 15. Penix is the keys to the castle. Their need is an edge. Their top need is an edge. There are several to pick from. You got Shamar Stewart, you got Mike Green, you got a Jihad Campbell, who is a linebacker need for them. They could go a lot of different places here. They have a lot of different needs to fill. In this circumstance, I'm going to say they take Shamar Stewart, the edge from Texas A&M. That's their top need, and they filled it here. A lot of edge need. Arizona Cardinals have needed edge and corner, but you know what? Maybe they didn't expect Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, to fall this far, and I think that's what the pick they're going to make because they didn't expect him to be there. They did not expect him to be there whatsoever. All these edge needy teams: Cincinnati Bengals, interior offensive line is not really there. Linebacker is there. Edge is there, though. Edge is there. Mike Green, edge from Marshall. They like edge. Edge is here. Seattle, they just paid Sam Darnold very handsomely. That doesn't mean they wouldn't go quarterback. That doesn't mean it. Potentially someone waiting in the wings. Darnold's deal is only for 3 years. It's a bold thing to take. Look, Atlanta just did it last year. Atlanta did this last year. Atlanta paid Kirk Cousins giant dollars and then immediately drafted Penix in the first and high in the first. Seattle pick 18. You got a Shedeur sitting there. Would they consider? Maybe they consider. It's on their top list of needs here. But, offensive line is also on their knees, but safety is higher. Safety is higher, and man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. What do you do? Do you go safety in the first? Malachi Starks? In this circumstance, you do. You do because it's one of your top needs on the board. 19, we got Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield at the helm, so not necessarily a need for a quarterback, especially one waiting in the wings, eyeballing Baker's job. Linebacker is their top need, and sure enough, a Jihad Campbell sitting there, and, they could certainly go wide receiver. That's one of their top needs as well. But with Jihad Campbell sitting there and their need for a linebacker, I think they make that choice. They are thrilled. And now we're at pick 20, Denver Broncos. Their needs are running back, not really there. Omarion Hampton, perhaps. A tight end. The two top have been taken. The linebacker is taken. There's a tackle. There's a tackle there. You like to have some weapons for Bo Nix. But Bo Nix does need a running back, doesn't he? That's their top need, and Omarion Hampton sitting there. Steelers have certainly been looking at, potentially a running back. They brought in 9 for pre-draft visits. But we're going to say the Broncos beat them to the punch and take Omarion Hampton, the running back from North Carolina. And here we are at 21 with just a little bit of intrigue, don't we? The Pittsburgh Steelers' top need is a quarterback, and oh boy, Shedeur Sanders is sitting there at quarterback, isn't he not? It's an interesting debate. I think they have it in the room to decide what they do there. I have seen mock drafts that had only Cam Ward being taken in the first round. I have seen mock drafts, especially as of late, where Jackson Dart has surpassed Shedeur Sanders, and he is falling hard. You know what, though? You're going to hate it. I don't even know if I particularly like it. But the need is the need, and the board fell the way it fell. And the Pittsburgh Steelers draft Shedeur Sanders because it's there. Because he's there. They had other needs. They had D-line needs. But their top need, let's be real here. Their top need is quarterback, and we simply don't know what's going on with Aaron Rodgers and what he's going to do. So you have to take a quarterback for this year. Arguably, you could do that in the later rounds. Sure, you could do that in the later rounds. Is it something where they're really kind of looking to do this potentially next year, not this year? Sure they are. They don't want another Kenny Pickett situation on their hands. But Shedeur was sitting there, and they probably didn't expect him to sit there at 21. I think a long conversation was had about it. And ultimately, that is the decision that is made here. Los Angeles Chargers, their top 2 needs, tight end and wide receiver, and I think they run up to the podium to take Matthew Golden here, and they're thrilled about such a thing, that they have a wide receiver that's sitting there waiting for them. Same here. The top need for the Green Bay Packers is corner, and Jahdae Barron sitting there, and oh boy, look, all these top needs are being filled. Here we are yet again. Now this could go either way, because the Minnesota Vikings' top 2 needs are safety and D-line, and they got your picks of safety and D-line. They got Derek Harmon, who I saw that potentially could fall down the board because of medical concerns. I like his game, but is he going to fall out of the, fall later in this draft because of those medical concerns? Who's to say? You got a Kenneth Grant. Let's say a bit of a wild card. They take Kenneth Grant over Derek Harmon because they're concerned about the medical. Even though safety is a top need and they got the South Carolina safety here, we're going to say they take Kenneth Grant. And then we got Houston. Houston needs a tackle, and Josh Simmons happens to be a tackle for Ohio State. That is their top need. And, there's a couple ways they could go, I suppose. But I'm going to have them take Josh Simmons here, the tackle. And then we have the Rams. Their needs are corner. Their needs are wide receiver, tight end, edge. The only one that's kind of there is this edge. But you know what? There is the wide receiver from Ohio State. They have him ranked at 33, but I do think he goes in the first round here. There's certainly plenty of mocks that says he does, and I think the wide receiver goes here to the Rams at pick 26. Pick 27, you have Baltimore. They could go a lot of different forms or fashions here. And at pick 27, you're kind of going for broke anyway. You could go really based on how the board falls. There's a couple different edge guys here. You got an interior offensive line. You got some D-line. Interior offensive line is a big need for them. You go Zabel or Booker. I'm going to say they go Booker here from Alabama and fill one of those many holes that they have. And once again, more edge needs. Detroit definitely needs an edge. I think they take the edge from Tennessee and James Pierce Jr. Feel pretty good about that falling in that location. Same deal here. You have the Jaden Daniels-led Washington Commanders. They do need a running back. They have edge, safety, offensive tackle. Do you want an offensive tackle to protect your franchise quarterback? Perhaps you do. There is that edge sitting there, and edge is their top need. The Boston College edge here. I'm going to give them that selection because there's nobody really there, kind of on that scenario. Buffalo Bills are thrilled. They're thrilled. I don't think they're worried about the medical, and I think they take Derek Harmon. They didn't expect him to be here at 30. They thought maybe it'd be Nolan, but I think they take Derek Harmon here to shore up that D-line. 31, Kansas City Chiefs. They could use some tackle help. You could use some line help in general. You got Zabel here. You got Connery here. Or Connerly here. They could go a lot of different ways. They could go Luther Burden, the wide receiver from Missouri. They could go really a few different places. It's based on how this board falls, I'm going to say they take Connerly here, the tackle, to shore up that tackle position. And then you have the world champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, and they need edge help, and they need a safety. And sure enough, the safety from South Carolina is sitting there in their laps. He's ranked at 25 on this board. 32, they're going to make that pick. And that's your draft, folks. That is your draft. Controversy. A lot of controversy. Could go a lot of different ways here. But, like it, don't like it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. It may not be the ideal draft you want it to be, but is a draft ever? Some of these moves, you might be yelling at your screen, being like, why'd you take this guy here and this guy there? I'm doing it based on how the board fell and what their top need was, and, unless other risks or thing that players that I liked better, based on that, I think there could be a scenario where a lot of these picks go down. Probably one of the more controversial ones is Jackson Dart over Shador. I have seen a lot of smoke in this regard. A lot of smoke. A ton of smoke of Jackson Dart surpassing Shador or Shador falling down this board. Could he potentially fall past the Steelers at 21? Yes. Could it be a situation where he falls all the way down so far that the Steelers make a move to try to take him in day 2? Yes. Could it be a situation where he goes in the top few picks? Yes. You really don't know. And draft night is that big, draft night is that thing where you really don't know until it happens what's going to happen. I read that the Pittsburgh Steelers meeting with Shedeur Sanders went terribly. I read that the Pittsburgh Steelers meeting with Shedeur Sanders went great, and they love him, and they take him in the first round. Someone's blowing some smoke. We don't know yet who. One of these things is true. We don't know yet. But at 9, based on how this board fell, unless someone moves up, I don't see a scenario where Cam Ward's for sure going first. I don't see a scenario where that doesn't happen. What's interesting is the next one up is 9. I don't think any other teams are taking a quarterback. I don't even see a scenario based on what they've done in this offseason as to what other teams would take a quarterback unless they're drafting for a situation that's unforeseen. Something that we don't know, whether they're, the confidence is not necessarily in their quarterback or what's going to happen. And the fact is the Steelers are at some point going to have to look for a quarterback, whether that's the offseason, post-draft offseason, where they add some veteran guy. So to have a quarterback that was highly talented sitting there, someone that they brought in for an official visit. They brought in 2 quarterbacks. They brought in Dart and they brought in Sanders for an official visit. So clearly you don't just smokescreen an official visit. There's a reason why they're bringing those people in. But let me know your thoughts on this first round of the draft. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think, wow, this is stupid, or this is based on how the board fell, or do you think there's certain people that are sitting there, like a Luther Burden, a wide receiver that could potentially have been in this first round, or some other players that could have been in this first round? There's certainly the case for that, and there's certainly the mocks to back it up, but this is just me throwing darts, because draft night, anything, is basically dart throws sometimes, and all it takes is for one trade or one odd move for it to mix everything up, and it'll be very interesting if it happens. But, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you're new here, make sure to like, share, subscribe. If you'd like to support me on Patreon like John Bailey, like Brett Persing, like Faye Ann, you can do so. Link is in the description below. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt, a TomWasHere t-shirt, you can do so at Spreadshirt, as well as links to my eBay store, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Arena Club. The links are in the description below. But when it comes to the next mock draft, and I'm hoping to do a few more before the draft night on Thursday, or the next video, we will see you soon. But until then, bye everyone.